You are listening to the Meant to Offend podcast.
Listen to full episodes of the Meant to Offend podcast on patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. Links all down below, but right now, we got to get to this, the Rotten Tomatoes deal. Whole bunch of stuff. Captain Marvel, let me tell you something. We know that these scores are BS. We know that, but they're both BS, right? Probably. For once, this is opposite of Last Jedi, where the tomato meter critic scores were insanely high, and the audience score, I believe, was accurate. It really did reflect, I think, you know, what we were dealing with as far as, you know, Star Wars went. But as far as this goes here on Captain Marvel, I mean, tomato meter, I'd probably say this thing's more around a 6, a 60%. It's not a 30. It's not a 30%. Captain Marvel, I don't believe is a 30%. A 31% audience score. You know, that's obviously a little bit inflated. Someone's calling me to tell me it's not. It's obviously a little bit inflated, but it's or deflated, I guess. But the tomato meter score for the critics is 81%. God, I feel like it's this movie's more around a 70% to a 65%. I would say maybe this movie could be around a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10, and I could see 5 out of 10. So I think both of these scores are a little bit off. I think the critic score is a little bit too high, and I think the audience score is probably too low as well. I mean, the truth is in the middle, obviously. So, you know, I would probably accept a 60 in this case, or something like that. So that's just the fact of the matter. Also, tons of comments obviously being deleted. That's the other big news as far as Captain Marvel goes. And you know, I guess they're trying to combat ridiculous scores. You know, saying, but I also consider a 10 a ridiculous score. Lots of people are giving this a 10. If you look at the numbers, you look at the facts on Rotten Tomatoes, like, so many people, thousands, are giving this a 10 out of whatever, a 10 out of 10. This movie is not a 10 out of 10. So, you know, there's also people giving it a 1 out of 10. But from what I understand, Rotten Tomatoes is only deleting the 1 out of 10s. They're not deleting the 10 out of 10s. So, you know, they're considering a 1 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10 garbage or fake, especially when someone writes, like, SJW shit, and then gives it a 1 out of 10. You know, they're deleting a lot of that. There's probably a flagging system underway, with keywords being triggered to delete automatically or to review, but mostly probably mass delete through an algorithm. So, you know, you don't want to give it a 1 and say, suck ass, Brie Larson, or something like that. You know, you probably want to be saying something like, you know, give it an honest score. If you really thought it was a 1 out of 10, I mean, sure, maybe give it a 1, maybe give it a 2. Or give it a 1 and say, I wanted to love this movie, but I just couldn't love this movie, and I just think it was god-awful, and I couldn't believe how much I hated it. 1 out of 10. But chances are, if you do that, you're going to be one of these people that gets an alert in your email that your comment was deleted. Although a lot of people, I guess, weren't getting emails about that. So some people got emails, they said. Some people said they didn't get emails, you know, I mean, with spam and junk folders and things like that. Who knows what, you know, alerts are going to come through and whatnot. But that's the news on that as far as that goes. I mean, that's what I think. I think that, I mean, the truth is in the middle at this point. And to be honest, guys, I still haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. I'm assuming the truth is in the middle, and I am going to go see the movie. I can't believe it, but I'm going to go see the damn movie. The 9 Inch Nails shirt put it over for me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't even go. But I was like, 9 Inch Nails reference. All right, you got me. But part of me does want to buy a ticket to another movie and then just jump over into this one. You know what I mean? Because I'm afraid, you know, they're talking about feminism and Captain Marvel battles sexism in the movie, it says, in the magazines. Like, what? So if you guys didn't see it, me and JB did a 1 hour and 20-minute podcast on Marvel and DC. And we spent a good amount of time at the beginning speaking about Captain Marvel and the differences between Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman and a whole bunch of stuff. So if you guys haven't heard that podcast, it was one of my last videos. I'll put it on the screen for you in a second so you can interactively click on it with the links. But I also want to remind you, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe down below for the daily videos and everything we talk about here. Not for the weak at heart, this channel usually. I kept this video pretty clean, though. But hope you guys subscribe. Tons of videos coming daily. And, you know, I think the SJW's tried here. And I think this is finally, I think the fans are striking back against Hollywood and Disney. And these people that say, you suck. You're going to see our movie and shut up, or you're a racist or a sexist. This is the pushback now because they did that. You know what I mean? They're the ones that called out the fans and said, you guys suck. You're a toxic fan base. You're garbage people. No, the fans weren't reacting like this to movies until Ghostbusters. Until Ghostbusters, and they thought it was, oh, an attack on women. No, it's not an attack on women. In fact, the whole movie was an attack on men. The goddamn movie was an attack on men. So when people saw what you did to their Ghostbusters show, Ghostbusters movies and the lineage, and you spit on it, and then on top of it you crapped on all the men. You know how many women came up to me and said, this movie would just shit on men. That's all this movie was. Most women hated that. Most women didn't like it. They didn't like pussy farts and every guy who's in the movie dies or is garbage or mean or terrible or a retard like Chris Pine, or not Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth was. I mean, the guy played a fucking special needs idiot. You know what I mean? And he was a man. And this is what's happened. This is what you guys wanted. This is what you did. You know, get woke, go broke. This is what you've created. The fan base wasn't like this before. This is what Hollywood has created. And this is what they apparently wanted, and here it is. But anyway, guys, what do you think? Leave in the comments down below. We're going to get to a bunch of this in the next show, in the next podcast, and all the other stuff. Right now on your screen, popping up on the top left, is going to be our 1 hour and 20-minute review of Marvel and DC and everything, our podcast. It's awesome. Check it out. It's getting really good reviews. On the top right is my Patreon page where you can support all my other shows like Final Frontier News on the conspiracies and science and all those other things. And then, of course, podcasts like this and tons of stuff. 30 hours of content a month, downloaded audio on your phone, everything. Support the channel. This video will probably make $2. So if you want to support, patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. Top right, my Patreon link. Top left, the podcast. And on the bottom, some other videos you might have missed that you might enjoy, including a link to that podcast. See you guys in the next video.